Greetings and salutations. Uthulani Yeyeye kumede lana. Buye ngabuya ke manje ne Yeyeye show. Last dingeta khona izinto eziningi ezakho umphakathi. So, yeah, thank you so much for my comments. They keep us going, you know, and your reviews as well, they uplift us. Today I'm not alone. I've got the legend himself, Mr. Rotondwa. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I am good on Sunday. It's been ages since we last spoke. I don't even remember which month it was.
Yeah.
But all I remember, it was our first show on Yeyeye show.
It was.
To the legend himself, you know.
Yeah.
Welcome back, man. You know, it gives me great pleasure that, you know, the first interview that we did, the feedback we've been receiving, I'm noticing that even up to this day, we're still getting some good feedback, you know.
Yeah.
People are appreciating the interview, but I think mainly what I like the most as well is the book, you know. Since I follow you obviously on social media, I see that the book is still making big waves, you know.
Yeah.
People are still buying it like crazy. Letters to Masindi, that's the book, you know.
That's my mentee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Letters to sorry?
Letters to my mentee.
You heard what I said? I said letters to Masindi.
Yeah.
Oh no. Letters to my mentee.
Yes.
Letters to Masindi is another book that we're not discussing right now.
Okay.
It's Letters to my mentees by Rotondwa, man. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, maybe if you had to just give us a feedback on how things have been rolling on your side, you know.
Okay, well, I think so far the book has been really going well, and to actually get to hear feedback from people, how they get to be impacted by the book when they read it. I think that for me has been great, and yeah, I'm hoping to see more, you know, people buying the books.
Yeah, definitely, they have
for their mentees, for their friends, for their family, you know. So yeah, it has been a great journey so far.
I'm gonna say what I said before, because for me, I think it's one thing that has been standing out, you know. With writers, you get different types, you know. There are writers that, you know, you find they are energetic, you know, they are vocal, you know, so they, you know, their thoughts before they even sit down and write, you know. And then you get this other group of writers that are reserved, you know.
Yeah.
They are few with, I mean, they say less with words in terms of engaging in a conversation. So when you read their work, you know, it's quite amazing when you get to see how they think. Like, oh, this guy thinks like this, you know. I never thought this guy views things this way, you know. So I think that's another thing that stands out when I read your book, you know. It's just one book that I've read. I feel like, wow, this book. And I was so happy when you shared that I think that book was bought by some of the Department of Education in Joburg, you know.
Yeah.
Because that book is very educational. So yeah, but that's great, man. And that book was looking at the transition from high school to the university.
Yes.
You know. And there's a big need, you know. In order for us to really understand what transpires and also be prepared, you know, to handle this change, because I've really seen a whole of people fall by the wayside of the road because you know, a lot of things happened at the universities, you know. Having said that, it was quite interesting as well to note that me and most of my friends, we got saved at the university, you know.
Okay.
Normally when you leave high school, there's the thing of freedom, that I'm free now, I'm going to do whatever that I need to do. But for some of us, there was that thing where we received Christ, you know. It's quite big, you know. So that's why I respect student ministries, you know.
Yeah.
So they play a major role, you know. And just on that, now, what obviously we're going to be looking at now, you finished your degree last year, if I'm not mistaken. Was it last year?
It was the year before.
The year before, 2019.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So how has everything been since you finished your degree, and what have you been occupied with?
Okay, so I recently started my articles
at
Colin Brenda. From in Hilltown. So yeah, it's an article for Saika where we're required to do in order to qualify to be chartered accountant some days.
Yeah.
So I just had my first month there, and it has been amazing.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. So now you've written on the transition from high school to the university.
Yes.
I think another big one is the transition from the university to the workplace.
Yeah.
You know, I think that for me is also one of the biggest, you know. That's where I've seen, sadly, you find the brightest students failing, you know, to make a mark in the workplace, you know.
True.
And then when that happens, obviously, it can also undermine the education system, you know. You find some wondering, what are these guys learning if, you know, they cannot understand the ABCs of accounting, if it's accounting, you know. But just on that, how was your feel when you started working now, and you've been in the class or, you know, learning, and now you find yourself in a space where you have to apply or what you've learned, you know, or learn from somebody now who's not a lecturer but in the workplace, you know. How was that for you, you know?
I think the journey, when you start there, you go in from a place where you've been taught like a whole lot of things, but you have not had any application of that, and now is that time to apply the things that you've been learning at school. So for me personally, when I started, I found it to be challenging, because right now we normally used to have textbook when you're writing our tests and exams, you know, because it was an open book thing. So you can go and look there, but now you no longer have that. They expect you to know your own things.
Sure.
You see. So it was
that's a big one. No?
It was quite a challenge at first, because right now you're sitting there at your workstation and you're supposed to be applying what you have learned in varsity, you know, because sometimes there you're gonna have your book next to you, and you'll always consult them when you need help. So that was my first challenge, like how are things going to be like right now, because I'm not going to be having the textbook. You know, it's like a doctor when there's a patient around and they still need to go and look, you know, like what could be the possible thing, they need to restudy those things.
Sure.
And it was not working. So when you go out there, you need to be someone who knows their things. You know, you need to know, like, okay, if I'm drafting my financial statement, these things, it goes there and that goes there. You see, you need to be able to know that. And one change that I've noticed is that when you're writing there, we're doing things manually, but now you're using the computer programs, you know, that are designated for them. You're working on a template, so it has got everything that you need, but you need to know your things so that you'll know where to put your things at. You see, so that for me, it was the first challenge that I encountered there. And it also led to the fact that I was not someone who was keen, you know, to ask people.
Yeah.
Until one guy came to me and was like, hey, so actually here, this is how things work. In our sector, we're actually selling our service, you know, so basically we're selling time. So it matters how much time you spend on something, because sometimes I'll try to figure things myself. So okay, what do I do here? And it was a challenge, because the work that you're working on, someone is waiting to work on that work. So it means if you take so much time on that work, then you're also delaying other people who are going to rely on your work. You see, so he says to me that you need to be able to ask. If you're not sure about something, you must ask.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
Because if you do not ask, then you're going to make like a whole lot of errors.
Absolutely.
And someone will need to come and correct that.
Yeah.
And the companies, they normally have budgets.
Yes.
Let's say you're a client, so they will say, okay, on this client, maybe you are going to spend like 100, like let's just say maybe 2 hours on that client. You see, so if you ever find yourself like you've spent more than 2 hours on that client, then it means your company is running on a loss.
Sure.
You're no longer going to make a profit. And I realized that actually those people, they've got a way to measure your performance, you know, and your recoverability. So at the end of the day, we're expected to clock in our time. I spent, 3 hours on this company, I spent 4 hours on these companies, but are you working on time? You see, so that was the challenge, because I was going to say, okay, I don't know how to do the thing, but I'm gonna sit, and try to figure it out. So I learned that if you do not know something, you ask somebody. You know, and I was watching on Instagram the other day, and the other lady, she was saying that if you ever find yourself that you have spent more than 15 minutes doing something that you do not know, go and ask somebody for help. And that for me, it has helped a lot.
She said if you spend 15 what?
15 minutes.
Okay.
Trying to do something and you do not know what you're doing. Go seek for help.
Just on that, Rotondwa, because I think you're raising a very serious and interesting point. Because what I've noticed with the workplace is that it depends where you find yourself. You know,
yes,
you can find yourself in an environment where you find that okay, in this company there is a culture of people furthering their studies, and you know. And then some people you find that they've reached a company where, sure, you know, you are the only one who's the educated, you know, So now I've interacted with a whole lot of people who have found themselves, you know, starting in companies where they are the only ones who are educated. Most of the people who are there, they have maybe matric. Some they don't. They just have that work experience, you know.
Yeah.
How do you balance that then? That you know, you're coming from the university, you have your degree or your qualifications, but you are still able to humble yourself, you know, and seek information, you know.
Yes.
Don't say, no, I come from UKZN, I come from UJ, you know, I know it all, you know. Because what I've seen, another thing that is very big is this transition where, you know, you come with certificate and qualification, but now you still need to sit and be under somebody's wing and
yes,
learn, you know. What can you say on that? Because sometimes we put ourselves under pressure that this company hired me because I have a master's degree, you know. They know that I'm supposed to make things happen here. And then you find yourself not even able to come down to people's level and learn, you know. I keep saying this, that if you are a sales manager or you are a logistics somebody, you still need to go and be at the floor level and interact with those people and understand the challenges that they are faced with. So yes, how do you maneuver now? You're coming as somebody who's been labeled as the intellect, you know, somebody who's really, you know, is like somebody who's got all the certificates in the world you can think of, you know, and now you find yourself in a place where you have to work with somebody who's never studied to that level.
Yeah, so I think the key to that is humility, because there was a time where the founder of the company was introducing the team, you know, and they actually came and he was talking about the qualification that different people have. I think he wanted to show us the same thing that you're bringing.
Yeah.
Because when you come to certain people, he was like, this one, she does not have a qualification, but she qualified by experience.
Sure.
So, and I looked at myself that actually I'm coming from university, but I did not have experience.
Yeah.
I did not know how to do this thing.
Yeah.
But this lady, she's been on the company maybe for 19 years, for so many years. You know, they've been doing this thing.
Yeah.
You might have your degree coming from varsity, but actually you have not worked on this environment.
Sure.
You don't know how these things work. So you need to have humility. It does not matter whether you have a degree the other person does not have. They know their work. They've been doing it, you know. So you need to be able to go there and ask for help and not try to have pride that okay, I've got qualification. I know better than this person. I've been through the university, but they know more. They've been doing this thing, you know. Because you find that some of them, they're even running departments, and it was said was said for one of the ladies that she's the one. She does not have qualification, but the department that she's leading, it is the one that has been generating more revenues for the company. So you get to see those things that actually it's not about the paper. It's about what you put in into the work and the team that you get to develop. So that's something that I learned.
It's big what you've just said, because I'm one somebody as well who had to reach a point where I really understand. In fact, I have so much respect for people who are doing so much with less qualifications, you know, because you know, I know how much I had to sweat to get that certificate, But to see them doing it without, I
Yes.
easily take my hat off and say, guys, And another thing that I think I need to echo on that before we move to the next point, is that sometimes we think, and it's a biggest fallacy or a biggest thing that we found ourselves missing, of thinking that the minute you are a graduate, it's over now. Go there and show them who you are. We miss the fact that being a graduate or being a student, it simply means you are a lover of knowledge,
Yes.
And being a lover of knowledge should put you in a place where you are forever in acquiring information,
Yeah.
And if you are forever acquiring information, it means you'll find yourself respecting everyone, because whoever you are interacting with, you are trying to get as much information from, so that you can further yourselves, yeah. Now, another thing that I wanted us to maybe highlight on, because I know you've also interacted with some of your friends who have started working, there's this other challenge where you find yourself again in a working environment where you are the one who's the most decorated in terms of qualifications. And then, I think the funniest thing for me when I left university with a degree in supply chain is that at that time we had these preconceived ideas that, now I'm gonna have my office there, my computer and all that, When I got there, to believe it or not, I was working at a depot, Then when I got there, it was like a warehouse, We used to receive and dispatch items in that company I used to work for, So when I got there, they're like, Mr. Kumete, welcome, Then they showed me around. Then they're like, okay, these are your safety boots, safety shoes. This is your reflector vest, and this is your pen, You're going to stand by that window, you're going to receive goods as they come, and then you're going to capture them, that you've received these items, you put them in shelves accordingly, and then you're going to put the capture it on a system, and then, you're going to dispatch it accordingly. And I don't know, maybe for more than a year, I didn't have a computer, For more than a year, I didn't have an office, I didn't have a computer, I didn't have a space I could call my own in this company. I was just all over the warehouse floating about, And the thing, it messed up with my head, because it did something, But again, those were the ABCs of supply chain. I got to interact with some of the drivers who will come, drop off some things and stuff. I started understanding the delivery notes, the invoice, all these other things, the material that we were receiving. I got more information, And then the worst thing that happened, it almost tripled me. It almost crippled me. But fortunately, it did not. I didn't stumble upon that, as much as the temptation was so high, because, you start getting people saying, hey, you are supposed to be in that office, why are you still here, and then they will then pinpoint at other colleagues, you look at that person, no, they don't have qualification, you are smarter than that person, how come, so before you know it, some of your colleagues are using you to fight their own battles,
Yeah.
And that is another major thing that I found up at the workplace, where people can easily use you to further their own agendas,
Yeah.
So what would you say on that? Because what I've seen, there's a thing called office politics, man. It's the ruthless thing I've ever, I don't know. Office politics is the hardest thing, man, you can ever face in the work environment, some people would think, hey, my work is difficult, but wait up until you've been put in a place where you have to deal with or maneuver through office politics, where in one department, but there's division, there's Rotondwa's group, there's Tulani's group, and you don't know which group to follow here, If you don't follow that group, you might miss out on promotion, How do you balance that, What are your thoughts on that? Because again, you are still fresh. You're coming from the university. You're hungry to work, but you get into this place where people are praising you. But while they praise you, they're somehow using you.
Yeah.
Has any of your friends experienced something like that, or even you? Did you observe anything like that?
No, I think so far we have not had those things because most of my friends, they've just been through induction.
Okay.
But one thing that I've noticed is that when you're there in the office, you know, got different people, and because of the different racial groups, you find that like black people, if they need help, they'll go to seek help, you know, from black people. Indians will go to blacks, and then
Indians to Indians, or
Indians to Indians, and then white people, they'll mostly be close to white people, you know. So I think it has been a challenge in terms of like, why is it something like that? Is it because we are wired to relate more to people?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That are mostly like us, you see. So I think that has also been one of the challenges, because as much as you want to get to have a relationship with everyone on your team, you know, but sometimes you find that there are cliques on these groups, you know, these guys, they love golf, they love chess, and you on the other side, you're not.
You don't play golf. You're only into Manchester United.
You're only into Manchester United, and it becomes a problem. You're like, okay, it's now, maybe it's break time. But you know that you cannot be hanging up with these people because the conversation are going to differ. Unless you are willing, you know, to go, okay, I'm gonna start learning or maybe watching golf so that you can get to learn about those things. So I think that has been the challenge that I've seen, because you find that I or other black people, they will be relating more soon to the black people. But how do I get to balance that, you know? So it was a thing. And then the other guy came to me and was like, oh man, when you're here, look at these guys, they are your managers, because most of the managers there, they're white people. So they are your managers. These are the people that you need to be close with, you know. They know a lot. So if you don't get to be close to them, then there's a lot of things that you're not gonna learn, because we'll be going to consult to people who are not yet qualified. You see, so they do not yet know much. So we're missing out to learn from people who are already qualified. You see, so that was a challenge, but I've not yet experienced any office politics so far.
No, man, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Because I'm going to tell you, that point that you've just raised about racism, I think I need to blend it in with the student ministry, you know. Because, I think that has been the hardest, you know. Again, some of the institution that we hold dear, you know, I don't know, you'll find that there are some of the things that they can protect us from, you know. And I always pray about this thing when I look at my kids, that I don't want to protect them that much to a point that they are not in touch with the real world, you know. For an example, you look at the church, it's a mixed race. In our church, we've got Indians, you know. To be honest with you, I don't like referring to myself as black, you know. I have that thing. I don't know. I don't believe that we are black. It's a topic for another day, you know. You'll have us, you know. I believe we are more brown than black. Then you'll have other races, you know. I think we represent South Africa, if I may put it that way, you know. And the love and fellowship that we express, you know, sometimes it can deceive you to think that that is what you'll find out there in the world, you know. And then I've seen a lot of us leaving the ministry, our church, going to a workplace, and then you realize that things are heated up here, you know. I've seen a lot of people even starting to backslide, you know, because of that, you know. They were on fire for God. They loved God, you know. The church they attended, it was a mixed church. Everything was nice up until they got into a workplace where they realized that, hey, this is not what I thought it was, you know. And then the saddest thing is when people backslide, you know. I mean, I can name. It's just that obviously I won't be naming people, but I think that was the saddest thing. And I'm feeling like we really need to highlight that, you know, because another thing that is big when we look at the transition from the university to the workplace is that thing of racism and discrimination, you know. We cannot shy away from that. It's happening, you know. You know, people just need to be prepared to face and handle that, you know. And when we talk about that, we're not saying it's a battle that is propelled by our racial differences. It happens even in tribes. You find that one is Zulu and one is Xhosa. That on its own will cause a spark, and so people need to be aware of all those things, you know. But the main thing, the ability to get there and do your job, you know, and not find yourself trapped into all these other things. One of the best advice that I got when I was going to a workplace, in fact, I got it from Dennis Solomon, you know. I knew nothing about the work, about the office politics. He told me that, you know, when you get there, make sure that you don't pay attention to office politics, you know. If somebody comes and says something about the other guy, do not listen to that person. If he said, when they say something, don't say, sure, yeah, you know. You see that thing, yeah. It sounds subtle, you know, but when you say that, you are agreeing with that person.
Yes.
And then before you know it, you know, the person can easily reference you and quote you. Now, I had a chat with Tulan. Even Tulan sees what I'm talking about. That guy is not right, you know. So that thing, you know. So now, before we sum up, I would like you to look at now the institutions that we have. We have the church, because we cannot, you know, shy away from the fact that we are the product of the church as much as we are the product of the university as well.
Yes.
You know, when you look at the church and you look at the university, in your own opinion, what is it that you feel you were equipped on, you know, that prepared you to land at the workplace and feel like I'm prepared to be here? If there are things that you wish you had maybe taken more time to understand, or you wish you were taught more, what would those things be, you know?
I think to start with the university, I feel like we lacked practicals. Like in our field, we had a lot of theories.
Sure.
And when you get to the workplace, you find that there are a lot of programs that they use. You know, you don't even know how to use Excel. Everything is there. You know, the trial balance when they come, they're on Excel. You need to know how to import these things. And this is something that you have to start afresh. I've also noticed that you'd find there that there's some people who start the articles, you know, straight from high school. You know, they start learning those things. So you get there, they have not been to varsity, but they now know more than you do because they've been through the practicals, you know. So I think we like that in terms of varsity. I feel like the system is redundant because it gives us too much theory, you know, and it's manual stuff. But when we go out there, we are not expected to be working with manual things. You know, there are things like Sage, Pastel. You know, at the university, they'll come with the book. You know, like, okay, this is the book, you're gonna read the manual, but you're not using that thing, you see. So if we had time to actually get to make use of those systems, to get to learn, then when we go out there, we are going to be more prepared. Because right now, I had to sit, you know, with somebody. They have to take me through the basics, you know, of Excel from the beginning, which is something that I should have been prepared before when I come to the workplace. You see, and also in terms of the church, I feel like the church has played a good role in terms of preparing us. You know, become disciplined. If you're in church, you're serving, you're in the ministry, it teaches you to be disciplined in terms of doing your work, in terms of timekeeping. You know, being there on time. You're expected to be there on time. It teaches you on how to communicate with other people. You know, you get to deal with people with different attitudes. You know, people with different political views and everything, you know, but it does not mean you are better than the other guys. You know, it teaches you all that. So when you go to the workplace, you are able to relate. Okay, I know this person, we might have different views on things, but because you have been through the church, you have interacted with different people who hold different views to yours, but still you won't fight because of that thing. The church has prepared you for that. And also in terms of leadership, you go to church, it enables you or gives you an opportunity to be on that role of leading, where you actually get to learn much, which is something that you take into the workplace. Because one thing that I've learned is that your qualification is the one that will get you to the interview, but they're saying that it's your personality and everything that you are that is going to help you to get the job. Because when you go to the interview, they're going to examine your personality. This person, can we work with them? How do they handle grief? How do they handle conflicts and all those kind of things? You see, so your paper alone cannot help you with that. So you need to be a complete person. And I kind of feel like being at church, it has taught me so much in terms of that. So it has played a good role.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. I can attest to that. The church, even the minor things, that we portray in the workplace that we might not even pay attention to.
Yes.
Respecting the people who are working in the cleaning department,
yes.
Or whether it's somebody at the gate, the way you greet them, you value them the same way you will value the CEO. I think that thing plays a major role, because you don't respect or you don't talk to people in a certain way because you are after something,
Yes.
You don't respect them because you want them to give you promotion, even the person that you see that, okay, this person is working for this department that I don't think there's anything I can directly benefit from them, but you still give them respect, so I think that's quite big, and another thing that looking at the university, there's quite a lot obviously that the university taught us, and I think maybe there could have been a way for us, to be exposed to some of the things, because I did supply chain and logistics, but when I got there were some of the simplest things that I felt like, shish, I wish I had known this thing, not those field trip, where you get to go and see things happen, I think they play a major role. They also open your mind. So we are sharing these things because maybe universities and institutions will have their own reasons why maybe they don't expose us the way we should. But now you're watching this is an opportunity for you. You can ask certain companies to open this door for you. Just go there and spend 2 hours, you do a tour and you just understand these things, how they operate, so that by the time you get into the workplace, you understand even a simple thing like a pallet, I don't know how many people are doing supply chain, they've never like really seen a pallet, like, okay, this is a pallet, but they're always studying about pallet, and all that, all those things, I think they play major roles, invoices, delivery notes, bill of lading, export documents, if we're dealing with export, all those things, just expose yourself. The saddest thing that I read in one book, The Capitalist Nigger, by this guy, the Nigerian guy, I'm forgetting his name now, he said something that the saddest thing is that most of our graduates, they've been, he said he was referring to some of our master's graduates. He said the last time they touched the book was the time they were preparing for their exams, So this thing of you continuously improve yourself,
Yes.
Read articles, study about office politics, buy books that talk about office politics, that talk about ways of managing your time, again, universities and institutions, they don't teach us about time management. I think for me, the only institution that taught me about time management was our church,
Yes.
The church really taught me about time management, but the university and high school and primary, nothing, but you get into a workplace, you realize that time management is key,
That's true.
you have reports and deadline and all that, but they teach you nothing. Right now, I keep telling people that Excel is one of the most important things you can find in the workplace, By punching in numbers and that thing, you can create the most beautiful reports, and you can do your presentations. It sums up your work. You can easily tell where you are and where you need to be by just understanding Excel. I don't know why they don't teach us Excel. I'm not crucifying them for that, because obviously they are way ahead of us, those people. But I strongly feel that things like Excel, most of us have computers, Go to YouTube, man, watch things around Excel. I'm doing that even right now. If there's a topic you don't understand, go to YouTube. I'm not saying that YouTube has got all the answers, but if you cannot afford to buy books, just go there with your data and watch something. It's all about preparing you to have this smooth transition from the university to the workplace. So, man, as we sum up now, your closing remarks, is there any other thing you would like to add on what we've already covered, or if there's anything that you feel you would like to prepare somebody who's looking for a job right now, who's going to be watching this? And by watching this, obviously they'll be prepared now, because they will understand the workplace, what is required of them.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that is affecting people a lot, maybe indirectly, is that of moving into a new place when you're starting your work. Yeah, most of the time people are not prepared for that. You go into a new place, that means you're going to need money, for accommodation. You have to pay rent, you have to pay your deposit, you need to buy clothes, so I think those are things that most people, they're not prepared for when they come out of varsity. Yes, you finished your degree, you finished your honors maybe, but do you have the means? Because you're going to get your first paycheck at the end of the month, but they expect you, to be coming to work. So do you have the transport money to go to work? Are you able, to rent a place to stay? Before you rent a place, they'll need a deposit. You still need money to eat. So those are some of the things that people out there, they need to be careful for, because some, they end up getting a loan, so already they're in debt before, they start working, you see. So by the time when they get their first pay, they're starting to pay off things, they're already in debt, So if you know that you're getting close to finishing your studies, or just from the beginning, you need to have some savings, so that at the end, I know I'm gonna have something. Because most people, they come from families where they do not have people who are working, who are going to support them. Like, okay, we've got the money ready for you with this and that, we're gonna give it to you, So you need to be able to plan ahead, calculate your things. I've got 2 years more to go. At the end of that 2 years, will I have money to start, to settle in at my workplace? And one thing that I'm also gonna say is that when you're in the workplace, be willing, to ask people. Don't try to be a hero. Don't try to say, I'm gonna figure this out. No, ask people when you're stuck. That's something that I learned. And also in terms of cell phone, this is something that my dad said.
That's
so
big.
He was like, when you're in the workplace, you must be careful, of using cell phone. Most people, they go to workplace, but they spend most of their time on cell phone. Is it that they're chatting? And it was also confirmed by one of the guy. He came to me the other day. He was like, hey, when I was here during my first week, I was sitting opposite to one of the partners here at the company, and I was just holding my phone but doing nothing. But that guy just came to me and he was like, hey man, we're not paying you to use your phone here, we're paying you to do your work. So you need to be careful in terms of it. To you, it might be a minor thing, like okay, I'm just responding to one text, but you might find that the guy who's looking at you, maybe they're on a bad mood and they might take it out all to you. You end up getting warnings and things like that. So you must be careful when you're at work. Respect your time. Make sure that you don't spend much time on your phone. And also in terms of dealing with things that you may be going through at life, you might have issues, you might be sick. You need to communicate that with people, because if you don't, then you're gonna find yourself doing the wrong things. You're not going to be paying attention. You won't concentrate, and that is going to cost your work. So if you know that you've got issues that needs to be dealt with, talk with your managers, tell them what's happening at your family, the issues that you have, and then if you need time, then they're gonna give you time. Companies, they value, they value your well-being, they value your family. If maybe there's the death of someone from your family, talk to them, go home, deal with everything that you're facing. Unlike to go to work and right there, you're not you're not happy, and that ends up affecting everybody around you. So you must make sure that you become careful of that, because it might end up costing you at the end of the day.
Sure.
So
Yo, man, that's another powerful one. Sure, I see we time is against us here, but it's quite amazing because this thing is flowing, And just to add on that, another thing that I was taught by Dennis, our pastor, I need to echo this thing because the church plays a major role, and the church is underrated, because of different attacks, There was one thing that Dennis told me before I got into a workplace. He said, Tulana, as you're going to a workplace, make sure that you are forever found doing something. If ever it happens that you finish everything that you needed to do, go and stare at that wall, that notice that is on the wall, and read whatever that is there. Be found doing something. I've got close to 12 years of working experience now, but up to this day, that thing drives me. You can check my computer. I don't have games. I don't get bored and then start playing games. If ever I feel like I've done everything that I needed to do and I don't have anything, I follow up with my customers or service providers and whatnot, I'd rather open that document that I know I haven't finished reading. I'd rather be found. And there was a time when I just started working. This guy came and it was the senior leader in our company. He came. I think people were all over the place, and at the time I was busy learning. There's a document I was learning, and I was busy reading. And he came. Honestly, he came unannounced. So I saw him standing next to me, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's standing next to me," and I was busy staring at my computer. And then he saw me reading some of the things that were related to our company, like annual reports and all that. He was blown away. So again, that's a point that that's an advice. Be found doing something. Get those annual reports. Get to know what your company is doing. People only focus on what they do. They don't know what product their company is supplying. They don't know which regions they supply the product. Expose yourself, Be found doing something, And when you do that, it will be honorable, whatever that you do. So I trust, man, that this interaction that we've just had will impact somebody out there, And I think my closing remarks, before I ask you again if you have anything to add, I'm just gonna say this. Companies, I know this might not sound well with others. Companies, most companies are profit driven, So when you are there, you need to remember that your value needs to be felt, Whatever that you do, make sure that you do what you are there for, During interviews, we advertise ourselves and market ourselves and say all those things, and then the minute we get a job, the graph goes down, So the thing that has been the biggest challenge with ambassadors, it's when they forget who they represent, The country sends you out there to be an ambassador, and then you get there, you find yourself forgetting your mission. So in whatever that you do, remember why you are there,
True.
I think that's one thing that I had to remind myself. Sometimes there will be friction, sometimes there will be conflict, but as long as we remember what we are there for, it's not for our personal interest. We are there so that the company will strive, In order for that to happen, we need to work in harmony, but we need to remind ourselves why we are there. I've seen a lot of us go to work every morning having forgotten why we are there. Companies are paying us so that we maximize their value, and it is our job to maximize their value. So those are my closing remarks. Wherever you find yourself in the workplace, please remember that your job is to maximize the value of that company. Office politics and whatnot will happen, but if you can remember why you are there, you'll find yourself able to maneuver through whatever. I don't know if there's any other thing from your side.
I think the last thing that I'm going to say is that for someone who's going to do the SACA training, they need to have some time to do some research, like you need to ask yourself. So if maybe you are on a course that requires you to have trainings before you qualify, so it matters where you do your things. So it's not just a matter of, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna pick that firm and go do my things there.
Sure.
It's going to have an impact, the moment when you finish, when you have qualified. So you need to research the different companies that you can go do your training at, and also research in terms of what is it that you want to use your designation for. Where do you want to work? Do you want to work at the government? Are you someone's going to want to work in a private sector? Those kind of things. You need to be able to ask yourself, what is it that I want? Yes, you're gonna qualify as a chartered accountant, but what are you going to use that title for?
Sure.
So it's because sometimes people, they tend to forget, why they're doing these things. I just want to be a chartered accountant, but what are you going to use that, once you're done? Because you'd find that someone wants to work in the government, but they're in the banking sectors doing the articles there. So the things at the banking sector and at the government, they're going to be different. At the government, they'll be teaching about legislation and everything that is related to the work that they do there. So even the program that they use is going to be different. So imagine you have been trained to use a completely different system. Now, for you to go there, it means you have to go back and relearn everything. So know what you want and stick to it. It's good to explore other things as well. But when you're starting, you must know, so that even if you were to do this thing for the rest of your life, then you won't have a problem, because you're doing something that you love.
That's big.
Yeah.
Follow your passion. Follow your passion. I strongly believe that God has given us the desires of our hearts, and He knows them. It's for us to follow them. Don't do supply chain just because you heard that there's money there. You will burn out.
Exactly.
Don't do accounting just because you heard that there's a lot of money there.
It's hectic.
Just follow your heart. When you follow your heart, you are able to work around the clock doing what you love. And thank you so much once again, bro. It's always a pleasure, man, to have these conversations with you. We really appreciate your time here at Yeyeye Show. We are all about community building, man. If ever you wonder what is it that we are all about, man, it's all about community building, man.
Yes.
We strongly believe that our communities still need a lot of teaching and guidance and coaching, So some of these conversations that we do here, they are mainly for that, There are some of the stones and rocks that we find ourselves stumbling upon, and it's for such conversations to help those who are coming after us, so that they don't struggle with the same thing that we found ourselves struggling with, So, Tulani Yeyeye Gumete on Yeyeye Show. Please just remind us of your social media handles.
Well, I'm available on Instagram and Facebook at Rotondwa Masindi, and I've got a page on Facebook. It's called A Letter to My Mentee. Yes.
Awesome. Tulani Yeyeye Gumete. Please don't forget to subscribe. You can copy this link and send it to as many people as you can on Facebook and WhatsApp, and please share it as well. We strongly believe that we become better by interacting on these issues and topics. God is love. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching.